Hey everybody, thank you so much for your patience in waiting for us to return to the main feed. We are officially back. We've got tons of new episodes coming up for you in the new format. But if you've been jonesing to hear us talk about any cartoon related stuff over on our Patreon, Cartoons That Curse After Dark, we've been talking about tons of movies. We've talked about tons of franchises, popular ones people like. Tariq, which ones have we been talking about?
Shrek, Toy Story, Paddington, Ted, Kung Fu Panda. The list goes on and on.
Gumby 1 even. And
yeah.
look, some of our best stuff is on the Patreon. It's our worst kept secret or best kept secret. It's a well kept secret. You guys should go check out our stuff over there. It's really great. Patreon.com/cartoons that curse. If you want a little bit of extra stuff, we've got like 35 episodes over there. Go check it out and cue the theme song.
Word.
I've been watching them for years, it's always been something that fit with all the animated characters that's doing their own bits. With a fry who's in the future and a family guy that sucks. With a father from a Burger family runs a month. The show inspires is the same guy except he totally say and diverse.
Let's watch cartoons that curse.
Yeah, that's bananas.
That's rough.
What the is up, everybody? Welcome to Cartoons That Curse. My name is Johnny. I'm here with my co-host Tariq. Tariq, how are you today?
I'm all right, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm a big fan of your MF Doom
thank
crossover
you.
with Doom shirt.
Yeah.
the crossover that always should have been.
Right. It was right there in front of us.
Why was he never in the game? God,
yeah,
what a missed opportunity.
Fumble.
And we are here today with our wonderful friend, one of my best friends in the world, multi-time guest on Cartoons That Curse. And one of our first for this new format is our friend, Whitney Van Laningham. Whitney, how are you?
Wow, that was such a phonetic sounding out of my last name. I wish everyone could do that. Thank you. I love it.
You're welcome, Whitney Van Laningham.
Yeah, teach people how to pronounce that shit.
We got you. People don't even know my last name.
Do they really not?
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't.
That's so funny.
His last name
if
is
they
just
ever
two
found out what it
cellos.
is.
He
Yeah.
changed it. There's a number in his last name now.
Our friend Lisa, this is so funny. Our friend Lisa for Christmas got me like a membership to this like cool little farm that's nearby, and she realized she didn't know my last name, so she just put John Cellos on there, and I was like at first like, oh my God, you don't even know my last name, Lisa. And then I realized that I didn't know Lisa's last name because she goes by Lisa Doll online.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I was about to shame her about it, I was like, wait a second. Glass house throwing stones right now.
Dude, you should have seen me asking people for because of my bridal shower. It was held in my mom's guarded gate community, and you have to like show ID and it has to be your real name. And all of my friends have fucking stage names and I don't know. And I don't know most of their last names. So I had to text all of my friends and ask them for their real names instead of their internet names. And shout out to Angelica Trey. She refused to give me her real last name. And she was like,
Really?
Don't worry about it. I'll figure it out. Yeah. She showed up. It was just like, Trey. And so, yeah, I thought it was very, very funny. So she was the only one who didn't give me their real name. So I still don't know Angelica's real name, but I do know all of my other friends' real names, and I guard them like a jealous secret.
What a baller move, Angelica.
I know, it was so baller. She was like, I'm just gonna roll the dice. I'm a public figure. Fuck you. I'm not telling you my real name. It was great. I love her.
That's crazy. Wow. I'm impressed and mad respect to that. But speaking of, I guess since the last time you've been on forever ago, you got married. That's crazy.
Yeah, I got married, bro. You were there. You gave a speech at my wedding. For those who don't know, John forced me against my will to rap Eminem in the middle of my wedding dinner.
I've heard this.
And I loved it. I honestly loved it. It was the greatest moment of my life. I've been waiting for that my whole life.
to be fair, I didn't force you. I just goaded you into doing it. Like, I knew you would do it.
I'm not a punk ass bitch. When you hand me the mic, I'm not gonna fuck it up, you know? Like
that was fun. What a good time.
it was a good
great
time.
wedding.
I loved it.
It was a beautiful wedding. It was a fun wedding. Now you're married to
I'm married
to one
now.
to one of my other best friends, Brett. Great people, great marriage. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 marriage.
It's pretty cool.
10 out of 10 marriage so far.
It's pretty nice. Yeah, so far. I mean, we're like what, 7 months in? We'll see how this goes.
Hell yeah.
No, I love him very much. He's very fucking cool.
Cool. Well, how have you been? How else have you been? What else is new in your world? I know there's been a lot of changes since we were last on here.
Yeah, new in my world. So I started a new podcast recently with my very good friends Tommy Bechtold and Mastertainment, another person whose real name I do know but will never reveal. He has a complete, believe it or not, Mastertainment is not his real name. Out of respect for him, though, that's how I have him saved in my phone. Because I want to respect his stage name.
I'm gonna call him Mastertainment. I won't call him his. I don't know his real name, but
yeah,
I could
you
guess.
can't.
I
You'll
could try
never
to
know.
guess.
You'll never know. You can guess, but you'll never find out. I would never reveal that. He did RSVP to my wedding, he couldn't come, but he RSVP'd no to my wedding using his real name, which I was very shocked by because I did address his wedding invitation to Mastertainment.
Amazing. So yeah, you're doing your podcast, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a real fun one. We're all friends. We talk about nerdy shit. Hence the little pun name. We like it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. We Mikey and I actually worked with Tommy Bechtold a bunch of times back in the day when we used to do a weird show that we made with VR called Live from the Eighth Dimension, and Tommy was one of our favorite character improvisers to ever work with on that show. Great guy, great man. I love Tommy Bechtold a lot.
He was actually the priest at my wedding.
That's
fun
right.
fact. Yeah,
I was on the stage standing by him.
I was also on the stage standing by him, and it was so
closer.
funny. He was so dedicated to. Yeah, I was closer. I win. He was so dedicated to like getting out of the way before the photographer started taking photos, but instead he's just running in slow motion in the background of all of the photos of us kissing.
That's hard,
it's
bro.
great. He tried so hard and got so far, but in the end it didn't even matter. So we started Guardians of the Galaxy after we all got positionally eliminated, and we just kind of decided that we're all pals, we're all friends, why not continue the magic somewhere else? And that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Somewhere that appreciates your talents and
because I'm the one who appreciates my talents. It's my show.
Yeah, that's right. It's fine. That other place, that last place sucked. We don't need to talk about
Shall
those
not
people.
be named.
Well, they will not be named, but if I were going to name them, I would name them dog shit. Just kidding. I have a couple of good friends there still, but mostly thumbs down to their positional eliminations.
Yep.
Yep.
Big thumbs down. Yeah, and besides Galaxy, it's just Whitney Vision, baby. As you know it, you love it. My little cartoon show. I curse on that one all the time. I don't hold back. I say it in whatever show I want to. It's great.
Hell yeah. Whitney Vision is great. I'm glad you guys are getting back in the swing of things over there. You guys put on the Nimona Explainer. You guys got a big Rick and Morty one coming out, right? Like kind of about the episode we're going to talk about today.
Yes, this is a little preview. This is to give you a little taste of what's to come.
Although when this episode releases,
it's probably going to be an after thing. But then it's like, oh, hey, you're hearing us talk about it live. Great.
Yeah.
Watch my video and then listen to this episode.
And for those listening to this who haven't seen it, go watch that video.
Yeah, it's probably up by now, hopefully. I don't know. There's a rainstorm in LA right now. I might get taken out. I might get washed away down the LA River, specifically at the Coldwater Canyon Freeway exit. Who's to
That's
say?
true. That is a dangerous spot.
Yeah.
Right now, it's
man.
overflowing, bro. It's nuts.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's nuts. LA is not made for rain.
It's not.
But
We have
Yeah.
no
suddenly we
infrastructure
have
for it.
None whatsoever. Luckily, my building just like a couple months ago finally decided to in our back walkway into our parking lot. It used to just pool up like so much. The water would just pool up where you just had to wade through water to get to the parking lot. And they finally did the work to just make a little drain. And now there's no problems. And I'm like, wow, you should have done this when I moved in 3 years ago.
19 years ago.
Yeah. Oh boy. But it has been very rainy. But I do like opening the window and listening to the rain. It's nice.
Oh yeah, it's really nice at nighttime.
We don't get to do that much here. It's not.
We
not
don't
common.
ever. We live in a desert.
It's true.
No,
It's
no.
true. We do need the rain, but also I hope we survive it.
With the rain comes the pain, baby. Can't
Hell
stop it.
yeah. So I guess we what else do you have planned for Whitney Vision? I know you're moving forward with that. You got Rick and Morty stuff coming up.
Yeah, I got Rick and Morty. I am actually currently working on a Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur breakdown. And so that's going to
hell
be
yeah.
really cool. That's a fun show. A very fun fact about the first season of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is that one of their little mixtapes on the show, which is what they call their fight scenes when they fight to music. It's pretty great. One of the first ones was like animated to Sweatpants by Gambino. And the Disney censors accidentally left in the line, "Your girl drinks my daycare," in the episode. And so there was just a line about cum guzzling in Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur for a while until they finally realized it. And the last time I rewatched that episode, it has now been bleeped out, but it was not bleeped out for like months. And I could not
Jeez.
believe it. And that's why you should go watch that show, because other great things like that could happen to you.
Who knows what else they've missed?
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
15 cum guzzling references you missed in
in this Disney animated series.
Oh man. Oh, good shit. Yeah, we've got I know you guys just did an interview with someone from that show on Palaxy, right?
Yeah, we did. The Guardians of the Galaxy just interviewed Ben Juono. He is so nice. He is so much fun. He is the supervising director and co-producer of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. Okay. And he's just super, super smart. Very cool guy who really loves the team that he works with and cares about them a lot. And you can tell that he's like a good boss. And he was so knowledgeable without giving any spoilers. And I think that that's kind of an art. He gave us so many like hints and details and fun facts about season 2 without spoiling anything, and it was great. I had a great experience watching season 2 because of all of his little anecdotes. I feel like I learned a lot from that guy, so he's dope.
That's great.
Word.
Hell yeah, I love that. Love giving people in animation spotlights. Is something we're gonna start doing here on this podcast too, or maybe already have, depending on when these episodes release. We don't know.
Yeah.
All right, listen, wait, what are they talking about? They just had so last week. What's going on?
That's the beauty of banking episodes. You get to really like just piece together your schedule. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. That's awesome, dude. Congrats. I'm really impressed and excited about Palaxy doing as well as it is, especially
so far so good.
Yeah, coming out of the place that will not be named, and you guys just like kind of getting to it and being like, we're gonna do a new thing together.
We grooving.
Yeah, and also, like you guys were the 3 best hosts at that place, and now you have your own thing together.
Yeah, man, I really like us. I agree with that. I think that they are the best hosts in the world. Tommy is the funniest fucking person I've ever met in my life. As you know, his improv skills are just unmatched, like unfucking matched.
We'll probably bring both of them onto this show at some point. Tommy is someone I talked to in person about bringing on here because he is just truly like ultimate podcast guest number one. Like
Oh
he
yeah,
is
no,
so
he's
funny.
he's just chaos incarnate. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't believe half the shit he says and comes up with. It kind of the thing that Brett and I always say about Tommy and his like joke telling style when it comes to Palaxy is that it feels like he has a list in his brain of like hodgepodge mishmashed shit to say, and then his brain automatically like rolls a d20 in his brain and just slaps two things together, and that's his transition. And it's so good. Like I don't know how the shit he comes up with this stuff. We'll be talking about like Marvel, and he'll be like, and that's how I had a heart attack and my gallbladder removed. Anyways, back to Echo. And like it does not make any fucking sense how he comes up with this shit so quickly. He's ridiculous. And then MT is like probably the smartest person I've ever met in my life. He comes up with theories and notices details that like I don't think is human. I think he might be part robot, and that's okay with me because I love him and I'll love him even if he's a robot. But he's just so fucking smart. I'm very, very lucky to work with both of them. And obviously Tommy's also smart and MT's also funny. I'm just describing them separately because but I love them.
But yeah, that's it's a good, you guys got a good trio. Like you feel like you're all good at everything, but like you all bring different strengths to the pod.
Yeah,
you know?
I like us.
And,
I think we're nice friends. We got to have you on soon too.
Yeah.
We have only had 2 guests so far, so you got to be next, bro.
Okay.
Trade pods.
Okay.
Great. Hell yeah. Once we have Tommy on this show, I want to talk to him about this, but man, he used to play the most crazy characters on our show. And one was right after the film version of Cats came out. And so we had him play a cat, like a human, like an anthropomorphized cat. And we were like, we don't have a name for this cat. Do you have a name? And he just like, without even missing a beat, just immediately said, Big Daddy Tattletale.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ.
Oh man, what a good I went down a rabbit hole watching old episodes of that show the other day, and I forgot how much fun we had making it. It was a great time. It's insane that anyone let us make it, but it was great. Oh man. All right, you got any Tariq, you got any questions for Whit? Anything you want to catch up with about her life?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I feel like I'm all caught up.
Yeah,
just on the 15 minutes of sitting in, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I just did a lore dump for you.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I felt like I got to explain the season I missed.
Yeah. This season on Whitney.
Yeah, it was the wedding. Dude, you missed the wedding season?
You missed the wedding episode? Like, Jesus. That's the big one.
Oh, man. All right. Cool. Well, let's just dive into these episodes and these shows.
Yeah.
Whitney has chosen for us to talk about two episodes for us. Today we've got Fear No Mort, which was the latest season finale of Rick and Morty, season 7's season finale, and the Harley Quinn very problematic Valentine's Day special. What do you guys want to talk first? Do you want to do Rick and Morty first and then Harley Quinn, or vice versa? What are you feeling?
I don't know. Whatever, up to you. It's your show. It's you rule this town. You're the king.
Does anybody have a quarter?
You're just 2 sweet kings.
I don't. I had one, but I don't know where it went. All right, that's fine. We'll just do Rick and Morty first. Let's talk Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty.
Richard and Mortimer.
This is an interesting one though, because so Tariq and I talked about like the first 5 seasons of Rick and Morty on the pod. You were on one of those, and
I was there,
and yeah, you were there. And then like right when we would have talked about season 6, all the Justin Roiland stuff happened.
Dude, it was like a week. It was like
we were like
close.
planning the episode, and then it was like, turns out no.
Yeah, turns out absolutely not. No, thank you, ma'am.
We did not cover season 6, so we haven't even talked about season 6. And then Tariq, you didn't watch the whole season. You watched a handful. You watched like
I watched the first one.
The first one, and then for this, you watched the finale, and I made you watch a middle one that's got a lot of.
Yeah, that was like 6 or something like that.
I think, on Mort Rickon. Yeah. I did wish you had gotten time to watch That's a Morte for the ending. The spaghetti ending is very good.
It is.
Also, there's an episode written by Cody Ziegler which is kind of their Morty's Mind Blowers type episode. And it's funny because it was one of my faves of the season after he wrote my least favorite Futurama of the new season.
Oh, he
Like,
did the
all right.
COVID shit?
Yeah. I'm like, all right, you made up for it a little bit, but I got my eye on you for next season of Futurama.
Yeah, right.
Now he's a nice guy. He seems like a cool guy, and he writes like he writes Miles Morales comics and Spider-Punk comics. I think he just maybe missed the mark a little bit with one Futurama.
Yeah. And for that, he should never be forgiven.
For any reason. No.
Okay, so Whitney, why did you want to talk about Fear No Mort?
Word.
I really like this episode, and you can probably tell that if you have watched the video that I put out on this episode. I just think that it's really, really cool and interesting, not only to see the like evolution of Diane's character since season 1 and how vastly different it's become throughout the series. Even though she is obviously a character that we know very little about realistically. And all of her characterization, for the most part, for like the first, like, I want to say like 5 seasons, maybe, mostly just like existed in Dan Harmon's head and like his idea of her. And his idea of her, like at the time, was that she is just some dumb bitch deadbeat, kind of like a female version of Jerry, and Rick left her because she was so unremarkable, and she was just like, or yeah, and so yeah, so Dan Harmon used to say that all the time, and he used to say like that's why Beth respected her dad so much and not her mom, because her dad was like the smart one and her mom was like this useless piece of shit. So in Beth's eyes, and then that's also why she resented Jerry so much, because he reminded her, yeah, because he was like a little boy Diane. So that was kind of like how Dan Harmon had been characterizing Diane for quite a few seasons.
Like
he gave multiple, that was his headcanon. Yeah. And that was kind of like how he was informing the way that Rick was written and like the way that Beth was written, especially. He gave one interview, I think it was just like a Reddit AMA or something, but he made like a really strong distinction about like, this is super important to me because Beth's character is so important to me. And so this specific plot point is like integral to Beth, and there's nothing I would ever change about it. And then lo and behold, we're here in season 7, and Diane's like a bad bitch. She's really fucking cool. And she evolved, and she, there was like an actual evolution of her, which stems, of course, from, hiring new writers and loosening the reins just a little bit. Loosening the classic Dan Harmon grip on some of those seasons.
Really famously in Community, it was he was like cracking the whip. He's famously a bit of a control freak. But that is and that is interesting with the show. I know part of that has to feel like like it's so interesting to look at the history of the show, and obviously now what we know about like Roiland's involvement in the show and how it diminished pretty quickly, how like it almost feels like that process where like they're in the middle of season 3 and Roiland just kind of stops giving a fuck and starts
riding his scooter around the office.
Literally launching his RC car around the office, just like distracting the writers nonstop. And I feel like that had to have actually maybe been a weirdly healthy exercise and lack of control for Dan Harmon, even though it was an unhealthy thing for their work environment. But for like Harmon to just be like, there's nothing, what do I do here?
There's nothing I can do.
I have to give up some control.
And I also just think that does come from like getting older and like learning that, like maybe I should pass this on to other people
Yeah.
and to the next generation of talent, because maybe I'm the old one now and my shit is not, the way that I do things isn't necessarily working out as well as it would
Right.
if I listened to new blood. So I
Yeah,
think
and
it's
it's not like
cool.
he isn't a part of the creative team still. He's still like a big part of it. And
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
he's just but they have a whole different showrunner. It's like crazy to me to think that Dan Harmon created a show that some other people are been showrunning. Like that's
Yeah.
just like that breaks my brain a little bit. Right
But
now,
honestly, season 7 has been my favorite in a really long time. So whatever
Same.
they're doing is fucking working.
Same. It's funny because it started off and I thought it started a little weak, and then I just
Yeah,
like by
same.
the end I was just like, oh man, I'm like this is the most I've enjoyed a season of Rick and Morty since like season 3.
Dude, same. I literally had the exact same thought because, like,
Yeah.
season 3, season 7 are obviously my two favorites, and
Yeah, I don't know if I
what
like
the
this one
fuck they were
as
doing
much
with
as 3.
4.
Yeah, 4. 4 has some good ideas, but man, it just felt meandering. I mean that one also has Vat of Acid. People love the Vat of Acid episode.
They do.
They do.
I resent it.
All right, that's
for,
your
I think
thing.
for a good reason, I think.
Yeah, I love
think
it.
you
It
resent for a
it just beat the best episode of BoJack for the Emmy.
Oh,
like the
I got you,
iconic, amazing, all-time episode of BoJack.
Yeah.
That's the culmination of the whole show. And
Yeah.
for some season 4 episode of Rick and Morty,
and it was like their
fine.
last chance to win an Emmy. Like it was fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah, no,
lost-
that's fucked up. It's a fine episode, but yeah, no, that's fucked.
It is good,
Right.
but like BoJack previously lost to a very random episode of The Simpsons that I don't care about. and that was free churro, the full monologue episode, which is just like a masterfully written thing.
Right,
so I'm like, just like, wow, Emmy's really gonna do BoJack dirty like that. I don't know. It's kind of fitting for BoJack though. See
Yeah,
back
it's
in
more
the
realistic.
90s.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I saw. I think I might have said this before, but I saw somewhere somebody saying that like BoJack, and it was some other show, but like it was part of like the Wire and stuff like that, or like part of that like collective of like TV shows that are like regarded as like the best in their genre, but
that never won anything.
Win anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I think BoJack won some like WGA awards and shit like that, and some Annies maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the Emmys barely ever even nominated them. But Rick and Morty, that's also the funny thing about Rick and Morty at the Emmys is like that show didn't get attention until it became a sensation. Like even though seasons 1 and 2 are fucking great and probably deserved Emmy nominations,
100%.
they didn't get a nomination until season 3. And their first
yeah.
win is for like an episode that a lot of people hate, which is Pickle Rick. And like, I like Pickle Rick, but
I love Pickle Rick. Obviously, of course it got like overblown. And of course it's like you go to Hot Topic and even to this day, everything is just still fucking Pickle Rick. But I like that episode and I love Susan Sarandon.
Yeah, that's
so
not the episode's fault, you know.
It's not. It's not the episode's fault. Exactly.
It's almost the marketing's fault because they like before the season started, like that was a big focus was the like Pickle Rick thing. And even before the season came out, everyone was like tired of Pickle Rick.
For sure. Pickle fatigue is real, my boys. It's real.
Oh man. That's funny. So, okay, let's get back to this episode. Actually, one thing I found out the other day, just to tie these last two things we talked about in, is I didn't realize that Scott Marder, who runs Rick and Morty right now, he worked on BoJack season 1. He wrote I think he wrote Our A Story is a D Story, which is the one that changed the show forever because it made Hollywood into Hollywood when they took the D sign, the D from the Hollywood sign. And he was a consulting producer on season 1. And then I think he probably went immediately to Rick and Morty after that. So that's a fun connection.
Dude, that is fun.
So let's talk about Fear No Mort.
Can't have any fear, Morty.
It's so funny because so many of these seasons tend to do these like big story focused episodes that are like the ongoing story as the finale. You usually expect that premiere and finale or both will be like the big overarching one. And then this season they were just like, nah, episode 5, we're killing Rick Prime. Which
was wild to me. Absolutely wild. I did not think it was going to go down like that in the end. I had zero. I could not have predicted that.
Tariq, you watched that for the first time today. How did you feel about that decision to like just immediately kill off Rick Prime?
Man, the show, like, I'm so used to that cartoon, like, pulling the rug from under me. Like, I'm just waiting for them to say, like, psych your mind. No, that didn't happen.
But the funny thing is that the act of killing Rick Prime already was that about Evil Morty, right? Like,
yeah, true. Exactly.
it was like they already were like, Evil Morty's gone. He's never coming back. And then he's back. And what I love about it is...
And now you owe him for life.
Yes. Like, and you know what? Like, that was my favorite thing about that decision is like they set it up as though, oh, maybe this Rick Prime is going to be the next big bad for Rick and Morty. He's the guy who Rick's chasing. But ultimately that represented so much more. It was more about Rick's past and his motivation than it was about like the big overarching villain. It was more about his internal change that's going, like, it's so much more interesting to see him have to cope with I have lost my motivation now. Like all I was doing was chase this guy down. And in the process, you've created the biggest monster in the Rick and Morty verse. Like, he is now more powerful than ever in Evil Morty, you know?
Yeah.
And also I just think he's a more compelling villain, frankly. I think Evil Morty is a lot cooler than Rick Prime.
I feel that.
Yeah. And then this finale comes, and it's just like the dopest character study.
It's a brilliant character study. Again, hope you've seen my video because that's what it's about, baby.
Nice.
I love everything pretty much that they did. There was so much like lore and so much backstory in this episode that you can look back and very clearly and easily see why certain choices were made by Rick in the past because of Diane. And I think it's very, very cool.
Yeah. Big same. And then the way it's structured to make it seem like, obviously it still does have a lot to do with Rick and Diane, but for it then to at the back end be revealed that this is also still all in Morty's head, which, like, obviously Morty knows a lot, so like there's an authenticity to it, but it being all about Morty in the end, I think was a really really effective move, even though it felt like a rug pull. It almost felt like a rug pull at first, where I'm like, oh, this is all about Rick's Diane woes, and in a lot of ways it is, but then you realize, oh, this is about Morty's relation to Rick's Diane woes, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a good one. What's my favorite line in this episode? I like when this is my favorite joke, is when when she's like, oh yeah, he doesn't really mess with time travel. He says it's the Long Island iced tea of science fiction.
Yeah. And I love that they say it at the same time. The Long Island iced tea of science fiction.
Clearly you said this mad times before.
It's great. Oh, hey, you know what we didn't talk about? Like, how good the voice actors are in this one.
Oh, yes. No, absolutely. I can't really tell the difference. Episode 1, I could tell the difference, but by the time we get to the end of the season, I'm like, yeah, bro, these dudes are good.
It's funny because like occasionally there will be a line that sounds a little different, and then but that will be me being like, oh yeah, these are different actors.
These are different like, people. Yeah, it's just a different interpretation.
Right.
Yeah.
But most of the time I'm watching and I'm just like, it's Rick and Morty. and then I'll just say one thing and I'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot that happened.
I am so like far removed from like the show that like when I put the was it like the 5th or 6th one on that I watched before watching the finale, when I put that one on and they started talking, I was like, wait, why do they sound different? And I was like, oh fuck. But then like it literally took like maybe 45 seconds before like my brain didn't even register that these were different people. Like you said, it was like every once in a while there'll be like a line, or like especially in that episode, like Rick does a lot of like yelling. So it was like, oh, this sounds different. But like, you know, it didn't like doesn't take away like the appeal of the characters or anything like that. Yeah. And they're like they're acting, like they're good actors, which is important. Like they're not just trying to do the voices.
Yeah, that's the thing that they talked about in their search for these new voice actors. Because like obviously everyone wanted like that guy on TikTok, Sean Kelly, who does do a really good impression, to do at least one of the voices. And like because he's got a fan base, people are just mad. Like Sean Kelly was right there. And you know what? Like no disrespect to him. I'm sure he's very good. It sounds like he didn't really even get an audition, which is kind of a shame. But it sounds like the way they tested these actors was like so rigorous, where they were just like, we don't just want someone who can do an existing line
dub real good, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They were like, we brought them in and brought them back in and brought them back in and made them do these voices for hours and hours to like point where we wanted to know that they were going to like be able to be those characters for as long as we need them to be those characters. Not that we're going to be able to like occasionally get the perfect impression out of them, but that like we want them to feel like Rick and Morty on their
Ricky
own.
Morty boot camp.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Sorry.
Oh, my bad. I was going to say, like, it's, like, comparative to, like, Family Guy and, like, them recasting Cleveland, and they just kind of got a guy that does impressions. Like they were saying that they should do for Ricky Morty. Like, they got a guy online that was known for doing a Cleveland impression. Right. They brought him on. And, like, yeah, he's doing a Cleveland impression, but he's not, that watching those episodes, I'm like, oh, he's not, like, as good of an actor as Mike Henry is. So like a lot of the humor in these lines aren't really coming through as they would if Mike Henry was to read them. So yeah, I think they made this process was, I think this is the better way to do it. If you have to do something
and then it even feels like there's so many different ways you can go about this. You've got this version where they find these unknowns who they know can do it and are good actors, and they're both comedic actors. Then you've got that where you go for the impressionist, and it's like, oh, it sounds like him, but it doesn't have that like that extra quality that you're looking for. And then you got something like The Simpsons where they're just like, oh yeah, like Hibbert is Kevin Michael Richardson now. It's just like, it's just like, oh, it doesn't sound anything like him.
I think like it's so interesting. Like you compare like Hibbert to like the new Carl. The new Carl isn't so 1-to-1, but he's good. You know what I mean? It's so good. It sounds like Carl, and he's a good actor. So it's like, you know, it works.
Yeah, it does feel like they kind of just like, they were just like, let's just bring in Kevin.
Kevin is like he's like their like black
let's
guy.
Bring in Kevin.
Like now,
he's one of the best voice actors around. But it is funny that just like Hibbert had such a specific voice, so it is the most jarring change for sure.
Right.
For sure. Yeah, man. But I really like these guys. Ian Cardoni and was it Henry Belden or Harry Belden?
Harry Belden.
Belden. Like them a lot. Honestly, I feel like we should try to get them on the podcast, Rick. I saw Ian doing interviews with Nerdist. I bet I can get his info.
Ooh.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Get him.
That'd be cool.
Get him and then kiss him.
Yeah.
Step one, you get him. Step two, you kiss him. That's how it works.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, him.
My whole thought on the Rick and Morty audition process is this: how fucking annoying was it for that casting director to have to open file after file after file of every idiot who thinks that they can do a good Rick impression? Like, oh my God. Like,
that's gotta be the most annoying thing ever, you're right.
Puncture my fucking eardrums in that situation. That would just be the worst thing I've ever experienced. Like, I can't imagine how fucking annoying that was. And then like, as I was like thinking that and laughing to myself, Dan Harmon gave the most like heartbreaking interview answer when somebody was like, oh yeah, so what was the casting process like? You listened to a bunch of guys? Is it fun? And Dan was just like, yeah, no, it actually really sucked to have to sit through listening to people trying to impersonate my former best friend and like my former like writing partner, and that actually really fucking sucked. And I was like, shit, that does really suck. It sounds like the process of finding these two guys fucking ate balls, but I mean, I think that they did a killer job, and it was low-key very worth it. Although I'm sorry for that casting director, and I'm sorry for Dan Harmon, because it sounds hard for them.
Mm-hmm. I know it's gotta suck for them, but they definitely did a great job. But man, I mean, even just like I stumbled across like people on YouTube being like my Rick and Morty audition or whatever, and like it's I think what really had to have sucked about it is that like Rick and Morty fandom kind of invites a very specific type of overconfident person. Yeah. And you got these people who definitely think they're doing perfect Rick impressions.
That's a good way to put it. That's a very good way to put
it. You're not. So, like, I guarantee you're not.
I saw some person on YouTube who like posted a video that was like my audition for Rick, and they just like truly believed they were the right person, and and it was one of the worst things I've ever heard. What?
It's like it's like your friend that like is like in the corner, like he's just doing impressions, like expecting somebody in the room to laugh. It's like, nah, bro, you don't sound like Homer. It's okay.
Right.
Like
it's
you don't.
Okay, bro.
It's fine.
Right. Exactly.
Oh man, speaking of Simpsons impressions, another shout out to our good friend Lisa Dahl, who her voice just kind of like she can, when she speaks in what she considers an old lady voice, it just naturally sounds like Marge Simpson.
She's got a little Marge going for her.
Yeah, she has the perfect Marge. It's amazing. My favorite is when she talks dirty to the group chat in voice messages as Marge, where she'll be like, "Oh, homie, look at my titties," and like it's so good. It's so fucking good. She crushes it every time. Obviously, I can't do it, but she can.
Oh, good stuff. Love Lisa. Shout out to Lisa.
Shout out to Lisa.
Okay, so I got a question about this episode for you guys, and I think this is this is kind of what your video is about, which I haven't seen.
Yeah, because it's not out yet.
Because it's not out yet.
But it is out yet to you guys in the world
It is
today.
out yet.
Yes. We're living in two different times. We're living in parallel time periods right now. We are in the past, and you are in the present. And right now, you can watch it. But we
are
haven't seen
experiencing the Long Island iced tea of science fiction as we speak.
We should have done Long Island iced teas for this episode, huh?
Oh,
that would have been nice.
Dude,
we really
that would have been great.
We did kind of blow it.
Okay,
I want to say though, I do think
go
it's
ahead.
very funny how honest we are about this, because I know for a fact there are other podcasts that are probably recorded in 2022. And
they're
coming out
pretending
now.
that it's
and they're pretending it's like not a backlog. No,
right.
Nah,
we're honest here. Cartoons that are honest. That's what they
I'm
almost
not
called the
trying to
podcast,
lie.
but didn't.
Cartoons that honesty.
Yeah. It's not liars that curse.
Yeah, it's just cartoons. Liars that curse. Yes.
I like that though. I like liars that curse.
I like liars that curse a lot.
Okay, so here's my question about this episode though. How authentic do we think everything is in regards to Diane through when it's being filtered through Morty's mind? Obviously, I think there's things like Morty has seen a ton of Rick's past. He had that whole episode in season 5 where he like witnessed the montage of events that led to like the whole Rick Prime saga.
Mm-hmm.
So how accurate do you think this depiction of Diane is? Do you think we'll ever see Diane for real and it'll be a little different? Like, where are we feeling about that?
Well, I guess that for me, like I understand. The reason why I made this video is because I got so many comments of people being like, no, but Morty couldn't have known that. He never met Diane. It's not, he couldn't have known
Whitney.
any of that. Geez, Whit. I don't know. I cannot do Rick and Morty voices. Spoiler alert. I got a lot of comments like that. I got a lot of comments of, yeah, but did you see what Dan Harmon said on Reddit in 2014? You haven't? You're a fake geek
Dude.
girl, fake Rick and Morty fan, motherfucker. And so to that I say, eat my dick. And also, no, man, I don't think that the character would be nearly as satisfying if in real life she kind of sucks, right? Like, if Diane kind of sucks in real life and she's not like that, she's not adventurous, she's nothing like Summer is to Rick, she's just basic and boring and a dumb housewife and an idiot like Jerry, then it makes kind of all of Rick's like motivations obsolete, because why would he be putting all of this effort into hunting down the man who killed his wife if his wife was just like basic, and he has now seen the rest of the multiverse and had a relationship with Unity and was in like a polyamorous relationship with every single person in the world that she infected. Like, yeah, like why would he, if his wife just kind of sucked, why would he care this much? Why would he devote so much time to hating Rick Prime? Why would he kill him in such a brutal way? Like, if I don't know. I think that I just don't think that that's something that the writers would do. I think that it would actually be very unfulfilling. I get that there's people out there who are still standing Dan Harmon as he was in 2014. And that's, you know what? Like, he brought us a lot of good shit back then. That's fine. But people change. Writing changes. The people who are working on the show and coming up with the narratives change. So
it seems very clear to me that that's not the intention anymore. You know, like to me, it feels like, maybe that was his motivation previously. But like, if it was just Rick having left Diane because she sucked, then none of this makes sense. Like, that truly,
it wouldn't even be able to function. Like,
exactly. Like it's the whole driving force behind the last couple of seasons of the show. But it's also clear that maybe that wasn't like, because initially when they revealed the whole like tragic backstory, it was like portrayed as like not real. It was portrayed as him messing with the people in the
just lying to Combropoulos, Michael.
Yes,
lying.
Exactly. Yes, so I agree, and I definitely don't think Diane is like that characterization. But I'm also just curious how close she is to this, right? Like she clearly has a lot more going for her than being a deadbeat Jerry piece of shit who was left. But like, I'm so curious how much of Morty's subconscious from knowing his history, like how fully formed he created Diane in this fear hole, right?
Yeah, and I do think that we can kind of piece that together just based on all of the ways that like Rick has described her in the past, namely that in episode 1 of season 6, Solarix, and then also in Wet Quat, Mort, Rick, and Summer, he tells both his garage AI and Solarix, and then he tells Summer to her face that Summer really reminds him of Diane, and that he sees a lot of Diane in her. And Summer is kind of like, when you watch the Diane episode, you're like, yeah, I can see why he feels that way, because Diane is also super independent, makes her own choices, works for her success. She is like she's a hard partier, but she's also a good mom. Like, she's, she's kind of like the perfect little catch. And that's why Rick respects Summer so much, is because she puts in that effort in the same way that I think he feels his wife put in that effort in her life. He sees that Summer is also doing that. She's the one who's like, I kill what I eat, like I eat what I kill. Whoops. Sorry. I said that backwards. Fuck. But whoopsies. But yeah, I think that the reason why she is probably at least similar to that, because obviously I'm not a fucking mind reader. Of course, I don't know for sure if she's exactly one for one identical to Fearhole Diane. I don't think anyone can say that, but I do think that it's very safe to say that she's a lot like Fearhole Diane, just based on all of the similarities between Fearhole Diane and Summer.
Right. I'm curious about some of the specifics. Like in the Fear Hole, it's like clear that she also has an interest in science. She had like her whole master's thesis about the ducks, the ducks talking, which is a fun gag. And they're like, fuck you, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you, fuck you.
Yeah.
That's how I imagine. It's great because that's like Pugsley's voice in my mind when he starts barking at the neighbors when they're outside. Because you know how he kind of barks like, wah, 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 wah. I'm always like, fuck you, fuck you. That's what I think he's saying. So that part really resonated with me. Yeah, she wrote her like master's thesis on non-human intelligence.
Right.
And then they met while they were working for the federal government on some super top secret mission type thing.
Right.
And the question that I have about that, I wonder if they were working together or if possibly he discovered her through that because of the inventions that they asked him to make. Like, I wonder what side she was on when they met.
Sure.
Because I wonder
That's
if she was
interesting.
somebody that he had to like investigate or something.
Yeah,
and
maybe
they
we'll
ended up
learn
falling
more
in
about
love.
Diane that even Rick didn't know.
Yeah,
Like,
bro. What if we
get some-
learn?
Yeah, what if we learn things? What
What
if
if
we
we
use what if they use
learn?
Long Island iced tea to go back and teach us more about Diane?
I only take Long Island iced tea to go to Brooklyn. Besides, it helps me phone in the blues. Sorry, that's a joke just for John and anyone who's seen the movie Adam Green's Aladdin.
Yes, a great film that I've seen like 3 times with you.
Yeah, we watch it all the time. It's great. It's our 4 a.m. movie.
Okay, so the other thing I just love is like, the other thing about this episode is I feel like it would be a huge bummer if it were too far from the truth, because like the whole Rick and Diane story in this episode is very charming and like it's I like seeing them together and seeing Rick happy, even though it's a fear hole Rick and a fear hole Diane. It's like so satisfying that like, oh man, how much would it suck to reveal that like it's nothing like this, you know?
Right.
Yeah, and then because then it just then everything doesn't make any fucking sense. I think if she's anything less than this, and like why would he want to be with somebody who isn't as smart as him? Rick hates dumb people more than anything. He hates Jerry more than anything. Like why would he?
Right. Okay, I will say though, there's a joke in here where Diane describes what Lost was in her show, where she says there's one season and she describes the ending where they team up to fight a fog monster, and it was only one season. It was a perfect season of television. But I'm sorry, but that description of Lost sounds bad. Sounds like dog shit.
It did sound like dog shit.
Lost is not about fighting a fog monster. Lost is about how the absurd mysteries of the island exacerbate all of these people's deeply traumatic histories and insecurities. And that's way more important than figuring out what the fog monster is or fighting the fog monster. God, people watch Lost wrong.
I've never seen Lost, so
Good show.
I'm watching it right.
Good show.
Yeah, right.
Oh man. So that's my take on Lost. The polar bear was because of the Dharma Initiative. It's really simple, you guys. Stop asking about the polar bear.
Everything you're saying about this show makes it sound wilder and wilder.
Dude, you should watch Lost. Tariq, watch Lost. It's sick. It maybe went on a little too long, but it's good. Good show.
Next week's episode, please tune in. Lost Guys That Curse.
Lost Guys That Curse. Featuring Billiam. Shout out Billiam.
Oh, dude. Here's the thing. We're going to have Billiam on, but we also are going to have my friend Katie, Skatey420, and she loves Lost. We should do a Lost episode with both of them where and we can call it the Lost episode.
It is. But it would be the Lost episode. That's
pretty
that's
funny.
the Lost episode.
Okay, so Tariq, what do you think about this episode? Like in general, because it's the first time seeing it. You've only watched one other this season. You've kind of been a little bit disillusioned with Rick and Morty in general over the last year or two. How did you feel about Fear No Mort?
I liked it. I thought it was like my second note says it's almost annoying how clever of a mind fuck this is.
Right?
It's so like they keep like they make you question everything. And just like the very second you put your guard down and be like, okay, I think I know what's going on. They like do something else. And it's like, well, wait, so that's not what's fucking going on. So it's like, I think, and I'm just a fan of that kind of storytelling in general. Just like, you can tell like this was not written in like a week. Like this took like a lot of time and like a lot of like connecting the dots in like a room and stuff like that. Like, I thought it was like really, really like well put together. And like you said, I think the stuff with Diane and Rick is like really like, it's sweet and it's nice to see. I've always really gravitated towards the moments in this show that like really humanized Rick and like didn't like, you know, like make him like this like superhero almost or whatever. So like I think it did. I think this episode does a lot of the stuff that like when we were watching before, and I would come on here and say that I really liked that they were doing like all of that stuff. I like this one a lot.
Yeah, I think especially the show has like, it feels like it's reeled in Rick in a really good way the last couple seasons, where he did feel like super powered, like he can do anything, like no stakes at all because he's going to get out of everything. And it feels like they reeled that in a really good way, and also have had him grow as a person over the course of the last couple seasons. Obviously, the Rick Prime thing feels like almost a little bit of a setback when he starts like pursuing Rick Prime like that. But even like that the whole Rick Prime saga goes a long way to like show Rick's limitations, that like he pretty much got killed by Rick Prime in Unmort Ricken. He pretty much was done
if evil
for.
Morty wasn't there, they both would have just been so fucked, so unbelievably fucked.
Yeah, and so like to feel those stakes and feel like, oh wow, cool, Rick wouldn't have been able to do this on his own. Think like it only happened for this reason, makes the rest of it feel like there's more stakes going on. And then, man, so like I feel like going into this episode, going into the fear hole concept, I expected what we got at the end, which is the constant like we're back in the hole realizations. And I like that they kind of had their cake and eat it too, and made it this really great kind of character study through Morty's subconscious, and then also got to do the like we're back in the hole.
Right. Around that time, my note says this cartoon is a circus. So at that point, my head was gonna blow up.
That's perfect.
I really also want to do another video that's been swirling around in my noggin. I want to do a video adding up how old Morty actually is based on how many fucking lives he's like actually lived. Yep. He has lived a full lifetime like 4 times.
I know.
So I want to figure that out. I was going to
actually bring that up because especially given the Vat of Acid episode where he was resetting everything, and then he lived out this whole life with this girl, and then this one he lived up until he was like he was owned a house. He was an adult who owned a house.
Yeah.
So he just like lived 20 more years and then thought he looked like his dad and ended up in the fear hole again.
Terrifying, fucking terrifying. And God, he's been trapped in a Roy machine twice. So like,
right, I forgot about the Roy machine.
Like, yeah, bro, he's gotten trapped in 2 separate fucking Roy machines. So it's like, fuck, dude like, how do you?
Right. That's
how
crazy.
old is this child?
Poor Morty.
This poor man.
This poor man.
I have a tag on child's body. I have a tag on Letterboxd every time me and my roommate watch a movie where like it's just about like a man suffering. I tag it this poor man.
This poor
like
man.
We watched a Serious Man, Coen Brothers Serious Man.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
This poor man. This is such a poor man.
Dude, that movie's so great. I love A Serious Man.
That's just great. Fan. It's great.
I love A Serious Man.
Oh, it's so good. This poor serious man.
Poor serious man.
One of my favorite character names in history is Cy Abelman, the guy who gets with this, who cucks him basically.
Yeah, yes. It's so rough.
Cy Abelman.
That's what I said. I said to my roommate when that happened. I said, no man should ever have to go through what he's going through right now. It was so bad.
I got a friend, Alex, who I worked with on a project back in the day. He's a really good editor, but he, like a handful of years ago, when Super Smash Bros. Was like announcing all its new characters, and like when the new Smash Bros. Came out, he made he made an edit that was like enters the battle, and it was Cy Abelman enters the battle.
Oh, man.
That's so funny. And every so often, I just see that posted.
Funny.
Some people stolen that and just posted it everywhere.
That's funny.
So good. Man. All right. So let's just wrap this up. I want to talk about the end of this episode, though. Because it actually goes hand in hand with kind of what we were talking about, how this show has kind of had Rick evolve and grow. The ending is so good, where even after finding out Diane's in that hole, like the fact that he does not jump in the hole is crazy. Like 3 years ago, that Rick's in the hole, right?
Oh yeah, that Rick is in that hole, in the hole, part of the hole. At that point, I also thought that was interesting, but I also thought that it was kind of more of a statement about his hesitation to actually let her go, because he now knows that like when you come out of the hole, you're no longer like afraid of that thing. And
then you
I
feel like he'll
that,
lose his Diane if he's not afraid of
because she's kind of like the last thing he has now that Rick Prime is dead. And so he already knows what it feels like to defeat the person that he spent so long obsessing over. And I don't think that Rick is ready to like completely let go of Diane, because if he goes into that hole, he comes out feeling better, and like he faced his fear, not better in terms of like, boy, gee whiz, was that fun, but more like, yeah, like I'm not afraid of this thing anymore. I kind of accept it. And I don't think he's ready to go to that place of acceptance yet. I think he wants to linger in his misery a little while. I think
you're right. I think that's a good read, but I also think that he's maybe not really realizing what he also has, because the other great moment of the end of this episode is him putting Morty's photo up on the board, but it's a photo he just had in his wallet.
I like that a lot. It's just like his little wallet school photo. I thought that was really cute too.
It's so good, and I do think that goes a long way to show, you know, where he's at with Morty these days, where he's like, obviously Morty is very, very important part of like arguably becoming that new reason to live, right? Like once he moves past Diane, like Morty's his guy, right? And it'll be interesting to see how they challenge that and motivate that moving forward.
Something else that I thought was cool about the ending that I have a question on that I don't think will ever be answered. But I wonder how many other people went into the fear hole and then got out and were too traumatized to take a Polaroid.
To take a photo? Right.
Yeah, because there was only like 4 guys on the wall or whatever. I don't know, maybe there was 3. I'm kind of forgetting. But there was only a couple other people like hanging on the wall. And Morty walked out and was like, no, thank you on the Polaroid, ma'am.
Yeah, that's right.
So I wonder how many other people were just too fucking traumatized to do it, but have done it.
I wonder if we'll ever get that. I mean, like, obviously there's plenty of people theorizing that in 2 seasons, which they already joked about in this episode, that they'll just like jump back and be like, oh, the last 2 seasons were in the fear hole.
We were just talking about this, but we are past the time in American history where you could get that off and people won't get mad.
That's right. We did talk about that. We were talking about the rug pull endings of sitcom history.
Bob Newhart and
that's right.
Roseanne, shit like that.
Roseanne, God, Roseanne. R.I.P. to the character. Needed to specify. Okay, cool, great, love that episode. All right, let's move on to Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn, a very problematic Valentine's Day special. So I've seen a few episodes of Harley Quinn. I've seen a handful of episodes in season 1. I liked it, but I haven't really watched any. So this is like the first I've seen of it in years, and I like barely remember what I watched other than enjoying it. This is Good show. Fun show.
I like
Yes.
it. I chose this
Yeah.
episode to talk about because it got me all horned up. And I've just been horned up all week because, first of all, so like last weekend, I went over to John's house and we watched 3D movies. And the 3D movie we watched was Jurassic Park. And so I got to see both Jeff Goldblum shirtless and Laura
In
Dern
3D.
in shorts in 3D.
Okay.
And so the whole night I was just like, I'm going to go home and jerk off. I'm going to go home and jerk off. And so I was just so horned up by that. Then I started watching Mr. and Mrs. Smith this week. And that is Donald Glover and Maya Erskine, also two very attractive people who you see somewhat shirtless. And so then I got horned up by that show. And so when John was like, hey, what episode do you want to do? I was like, I need to, the rule of threes, baby. I need to round it out with one more horny thing. So now I've had 3 horny things happen to me this week. One of them is this episode. So excited to talk to you about
And
it.
it is a horny episode. It's the whole plot that everyone
Yeah.
gets horny.
You gotta get horned up. You gotta get horned up for V-Day.
Oh man. So obviously when I from the episodes I had seen, they hadn't put Harley and Ivy together yet. So obviously that's happened now. But man, they're
Yes.
cute. I like them as a couple.
They're so
Yeah.
cute together.
Yeah.
I love them. Because
and I
Harley's
like
just a
Around the,
little gremlin. She's just a little gremlin lady.
Yeah.
And Ivy's just like, God damn it, I have to put you on a leash. Like Ivy's like the mom that puts the kid on a leash, and Harley is the kid on the leash at an amusement park.
There you go.
I love how much this embraces the full DC universe. I kind of just like didn't I know I know they did a lot from what I had seen, but the fact that this opens with like Superman and Lois talking about how they met, and it's like so much of it is like cutting between all these iconic DC characters, just being like, yeah, this is how I got hitched, or this is how we met.
Yeah, I like
it's
that.
fun.
I like those a lot. I like
Yeah.
those because they're like, there's jokes in those, but the gag is never the character's love. Like
Yes.
it always ends with like this, like it tries to make you smile by the end of like the little cutaway thing
Totally.
each time. And I was like, oh, this is nice. I like
Yeah,
that.
it
They
feels
got
nice. Yeah.
I forgot who the
When Harry Met Salification of the DCU.
yeah.
I love it. The Billy Crystalification.
The name of the like the Hawk couple
Oh, yeah.
or whatever.
Just
but-
Hawkman and Hawkgirl.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
There it is. Hawkman and Hawkgirl. I knew, cause I hadn't seen this one. I had seen like, so fun fact, in the pandemic, as many people know, that's when I like marathon Family Guy and saw every episode of Family Guy.
Famously.
But the first, famously at this
Famously.
point. But the first show that I was able to watch that wasn't Family Guy was Harley Quinn. So I've seen like the first
Oh.
season and like half of the second season.
Nice.
I do really, really like this show. And it just reminded me how much I like this show. And I remember hearing, I didn't see this one, but I remember hearing that the Hawk couple was voiced by Tyler James Williams and Quinta Brunson from Abbott Elementary.
Nice.
That was
Dude.
with his work wife, work spouses.
Hell yeah. Yeah, those all of those little talking head sequences were really charming, and they were really earnest, even though they're funny. And then yeah, I like the whole initial conflict of the episode. That's like it was funny because as soon as they go out to dinner and as soon as stuff starts happening, I'm like, oh, Harley planned all this. Great. This is cute. Like I was like, I knew it was happening as soon as it started, but like it was still just very satisfying.
Dude, I thought the whole plot, for a second, I thought the entire plot was going to be, we have to find out who's trying to steal this recipe. I legitimately thought.
Oh, that's
I was
so funny.
I was in for it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't hurt that it wasn't the plot, but I was sure that's what this thing was going
I
to be.
just love that she tricked that guy, like the president of the oil company,
Yeah.
so that Ivy could murder him. Like that is the
most
best Valentine's Day gift
gruesome.
for
Oh my
Poison
God.
Ivy.
using the vines to move the helicopter blades to cut him up.
Yeah,
that is gruesome, dude.
I forgot how
tight. I'm into it.
I forgot how welcoming this cartoon was to like literally killing people. That was one thing I forgot.
Oh, it gets violent. I mean, they blew the waiter's brains out just for serving Lazette balls. Jesus Christ. Bro, let's get some of those Lazette balls from Harley Quinn, and then let's get the suicide spaghetti from Rick and Morty season 7 and make a little Italian treat. That's what I want.
Oh man, that could have been the theme if we did That's a Morte. Is just murder pasta.
Murder pasta. Pasta that kills.
Oh man, good stuff. Yeah, I did really like this episode. There's so many like I loved the ways, like obviously going in the Valentine's Day like theme, they do a really good job like finding really fun ways to incorporate these different characters into that. Like I loved Bane just getting mistaken for a BDSM like like a BDSM dom type guy. Like that's just like he's dressed like that. That tracks.
That stuff is great.
Yeah.
That shit about his hammer is so rough. When she's like she's like talking to the guy about like how small his dick is, and he's like, fuck. You didn't mean that shit, right?
Dude, my favorite thing about that is what he points out later, which definitely would be true for someone of that size, is that he's just like, I just have a normal sized dick. I'm just a giant man.
Me and my friends,
it looks small.
I probably shouldn't say this on the podcast, but me and my friends have a similar joke about like Shaq. It's like, what, what? He's so tall. It's like whatever you pull out.
It can't look big.
Unless
it's
do you guys
just
remember
too
the
big.
90s rom-com Bedazzled starring Brendan Fraser and Elizabeth Hurley?
Yes, sure
do. That is a major plot point of Bedazzled, which is that one of his wishes is that he wishes to be a basketball player, and he's super duper tall. And then Liz Hurley not Liz Hurley, the girl that he's in love with, I forget the actor's name, goes to interview him, and his towel falls. And so he's the perfect guy, but he has the world's smallest penis. Because he's so tall. And so I feel bad.
Poor man, it's all about the perspective and the ratio.
It is.
It is.
Oh man, that's such a funny bit though. Man, good
it's
stuff.
Great.
So I also love just like this show uses the DC universe in fun ways. Like I loved Harley going to trick Wonder Woman into leaving.
That's
so
great.
He could steal the lasso of truth so she can just like just like learn the truth about what Ivy was feeling about that stuff.
The thing out the result I liked from that was when she's talking to Poison Ivy afterwards, and she's like, is that the real lasso of truth? Is that the shit from that costume you tried to do? She called it a Wonder Wolfman, and she had like a Wolfman costume. I thought that was the funniest shit ever. I feel like I would have got it if she would have did that at a party. I feel like I would understand.
Oh,
For
yeah.
sure.
Oh, any of us would.
Any of us would. We're normal.
Any of us would. We're normal. And we're
people
better,
outside this
and
pod,
we're
I don't
cool.
know.
Yeah, this made me want to watch more of the show for sure. Even though I've like kind of been like a little off of the superhero thing recently, I've just kind of been like, all right, I need a break. I need a little break from all the superheroes.
Yeah, me too.
But I am also like, even though I've been taking a break from MCU, I'll still watch all the Spider-Man stuff, anything Spider-Man related. But I am excited about James Gunn running DC, and I'm like,
yeah, same.
I'm really eager to see what his Superman movies like, because I love Superman, and I'm just sad that the world has moved past Superman because we haven't gotten good Superman content in so long that people are like, Superman's boring and bad. I'm like, no, just his movies have been. Like, he's great, actually. They just don't get him. They don't understand Superman like I do. But I think James Gunn's going to do a good job with that. So I do kind of feel like maybe this will be a good way for me to ease myself back into the DC universe, which is a world I've cared very little about for the last handful of years.
Yeah, me too, dude. I think
did
the
y'all
last thing they did that
Peacemaker that James Gunn
I haven't
did?
watched it yet. I haven't even watched his movie. I haven't watched the Suicide Squad. I'll watch those before his movie comes out. I'll watch those leading into his DCU.
Peacemaker is genuinely just so fucking good.
Yeah.
That was like actually the first show that MT and I bonded over, because there's a little dance in the beginning.
I've
and
seen the
it's great.
dance.
Yeah,
It's
a
a
little
good
dance.
dance.
I love the little
Yeah.
dance, but it is what I hope the rest of the DCU is going to look like.
Yeah.
From, you know, because he's just so good at blending like music and like really poignant moments like based around a soundtrack, and I
Right.
love
That's his whole Guardians thing.
yeah. That's his whole thing on Guardians, and he kind of did that for Peacemaker as well.
Cool.
And it's very good, but it doesn't
The
feel
on-
derivative. It doesn't
only
feel
thing
like
I'm-
it's like copying Guardians.
The only thing I'm a little concerned with is like it seems as though he's maybe picking and choosing what's continuing over into this new universe. Because he's worked on stuff in the previous iteration, right? And I understand that, where you're just like, well, I don't want to lose these actors who I've cast perfectly as these roles, you know, like in these roles. But I'm also like, oh man, that's gonna trip people up. It's like it's a logistical nightmare. You're not only gonna have people a little confused about what is and isn't canon, but you're also gonna have those angry DCEU fans mad that like, oh, you kept these characters, but you got rid of these characters.
Yeah, that's my takeaway from it, is that I feel like it'll just make discussion annoying. Like then it'll just be a bunch of people yelling about what counts and what doesn't, and
it's already going to be a nightmare because those DCU fans are not chill, but but like, so like, you know, no matter what happens with this new Superman movie, it's going to get review bombed by Man of Steel stans. For sure.
Dude, I was like a child with Man of Steel. How fucking old is Man of Steel?
I think it came out in like 2014.
Oh, I wasn't a child then. I was in high school.
Yeah, you were not a child.
You were not a child. Man of Steel, 2013. My hot take is that's the worst movie with Superman in the DCEU. I would rather watch Batman vs Superman and Zack Snyder's Justice League over that one. But that's just me. I seem to be in the minority. People like Man of Steel. I don't understand, but that's okay.
I think that's a hard title. Man of Steel.
Man of Steel.
Okay.
Yeah, like,
it is a good title,
baby.
Also, fundamentally doesn't understand Superman, but good title.
Good title. You study it. That was the best thing they did when they put pen to the sheets. It's like the title page of the script.
Right.
Right. You bodied that, bro. You got that.
Good stuff. I did really like the special. I liked the way, it ties in so many DC ideas, like the idea of like I like the whole pheromone thing was cool. Like that stuff making everyone horned up. Everyone was fucking.
Just a really beautiful and masterful way of like just showing people fucking with all the flowers like covering up all their little bits. It was cool. Like I think that the animation in that scene is really dope. I thought that was a very clever way to not show full frontal cartoon nudity.
Right. The thing I didn't remember about this show is like it has like a lot of like what I describe as like mumbly humor, where it's like characters just kind of like rambling a little bit, like trailing off about some obscure thing, which does work. But it's like I just didn't remember that. And then it's also just got a lot more pop culture references than I realized. Like
that was me. Yeah.
I love that Christopher Maloney's butt and its gloriousness made it into one single line in this episode during the spellcasting scene. Christopher Maloney has a great butt, I will say.
Hell yeah, I love Chris Maloney. He's great.
Word.
Sorry, Trig, did I interrupt you? I'm so sorry.
Huh?
Did I interrupt you?
No.
Oh, okay.
You're the guest on the podcast. It's okay. Interrupt me all you want.
I'm just out here
It's your
doing my
job.
best.
It's your job. We're gonna clip so many clips out of this episode, Whitney, of you talking about Chris Maloney's butt and all the 3 different ways you got horny.
Wow, you're gonna cut all 3 ways? Like I understand cutting at least 1 or 2, but all 3?
No, we're not cutting them out. We're gonna clip them and isolate them.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Just isolate them so that the whole internet can ask me for feet pics. I can't wait.
Exactly. Oh, no, what we should have talked about in our interview segment is how it was your Elmo tweet.
Oh, I forgot. Everybody got so mad at me because I was talking about Elmo, and I was like, oh no, Elmo is getting me death threats now. I should maybe log off from Twitter.
What did
for
you
an
say
hour.
about Elmo?
Oh my God, it was so dumb. I just tweeted because I thought it was nice, and that was my first mistake. My first mistake, as John pointed out in our group chat, was being too earnest on Twitter. That was rule number one. It was not funny. It was how I really felt. I tweeted that I think it's nice that, based on the reaction to Elmo asking us how we were all doing, and everyone just started like fucking trauma dumping on this puppet. And then also the way that at least millennials reacted when Steve from Blue's Clues told us that he was proud of us during the pandemic. I was like, oh, it's really nice that we have these kids shows from our childhood that taught us lessons in empathy and compassion that as adults we can still look back on and be like, oh yeah, it's nice that that's where I learned that from. It's nice to learn, when you think about Sesame Street, you're like, all right, yeah, they taught me my ABCs, taught me my 1, 2, 3s, and they also, taught me how to be a good friend to the people in your life, kind of a deal. So that was how I meant the tweet. That was how I intended it. And instead, everyone was just like, this girl is suggesting that full-grown adults watch Sesame Street. She's a fucking scourge on this earth. She should be killed. All millennials should be killed. I've never even heard of an adult Sesame Street person. Adult Disney people are bad enough. Let's kill this girl. She's dumb. She's dumb. She said the word pandy. I used the word pandy in the tweet just because I ran out of characters and pandemic was too long. So I shortened it to pandy. Because also I didn't think anyone was going to see the tweet, obviously. So I just shortened it to pandy.
Likes later.
Yeah,
Everybody's
66,000 likes later.
Dude, I know. It's so funny.
Everybody's an asshole. I told you about that shit off mic, but it reminds me of that shit I told you the other day about when I had tweeted that I got high and watched Chicken Little. And I was like, oh, I think I love Chicken Little. And it was because everybody fucking hates Chicken Little, but I was high as hell watching Chicken Little and I loved it. So I tweeted, I was like, Chicken Little taught me that sometimes all you need for the movie that everybody says is awful is weed. Yeah. That's it. I got a fucking DM. Shorty DM me talking about, I'm sorry, your brain's too fucking fried. You can't enjoy Chicken Little without drugs. I'm like, golly, that's the nicest thing anybody said about Chicken Little in 20 years.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Dude, there's always a guy. There's always a guy who's like, this bitch said that it's nice that Elmo taught us about kindness and empathy and compassion for your neighbor. She said that, but what she really meant was that all adults should be emotionally stunted and stuck in a kindergarten mindset, and all they should do is think about Sesame Street all day. And I'm like, that's not what I fucking said. That's not what I fucking meant whatsoever. Please stop telling me to kill myself. I might actually do it. I might do it. I don't know. I'm crazy. Let's figure it out.
It was such a funny whiplash of just being like, I think it's nice that Elmo and Steve have been here for us, and then people were just like, I think all millennials should die.
Yeah,
I think
it's so fucking.
but
it's so bizarre that life has always been like that. Because I was watching the Mr. Rogers doc, and there's a part where a couple years before he died, the news turned against Mr. Rogers and said he created a generation of kids that think they're special just for doing nothing. Because he just told you that you're special because you exist. Right. But they twisted that and they say that he made everybody narcissists. Cool. And he's like, he didn't do anything, dude.
He was just like, shit. Won't you be my neighbor? Would you like me to describe feeding my fish to a blind fan? How is that menacing or malice or turning a generation into narcissists? It's like, oh no, geez, we just liked watching him in his little sweater. Leave us alone.
Right. I'm sorry, if you've turned against Mr. Rogers, you've lost sight of what's important.
You've turned against Elmo, Mr. Rogers, and Steve. You've really lost your way.
Double whammy. Forget about it.
Fucking forget it.
All right. Well, what do you guys think? Anything else you want to talk about for Harley Quinn?
Can't. I'm too horned up. Can't think.
Yeah, we gotta end the pod so we can jerk off.
I'm gonna go out and fuck a building just like Bane.
I did write down that. Okay, there's two things that I wrote that I want to bring up. Number one, I wrote when Bane just got like really big and he started like fucking all the buildings. I said, man, imagine dying like that. It's just like this guy just like fucks your apartment building. It just collapses.
No, they'd be fine. Bane cum can't melt steel beams.
Look,
have we tested that? Don't think we have.
Have we tested
There's only one way to
that?
find out. And I wrote that the ending is really sweet. I really like the ending.
I wrote that
even
too.
though Harley has the wrong Shrek opinion.
Yeah,
She said
the
that
wrong
two is like
opinion.
worse than the first one, but it's still really fun. I was like, I've
She's
never
wrong.
heard that before.
She is
Listen.
wrong about that. Even though
Yeah.
everyone's wrong about Shrek.
Well.
No, but even that, I was like, wait, no, Shrek 2 is better than 1, and I don't even like
Right.
2 that much.
Shrek 2 has the acclaimed Counting Crows song "Accidentally in Love."
Yeah,
and
good song.
we did not see that at the Counting Crows concert, unfortunately. However, I went
what the
to a
fuck?
Counting Crows concert a few months
wild.
back, and that was the only one he didn't play. Did you guys know that the guy from Counting Crows dated every hot woman in Hollywood? I had no idea about that.
Wow.
Names.
what
You got names?
Yeah, I got names. He dated Mary Louise Parker. I think he dated Courtney Cox and Jennifer Aniston at one point.
Whoa.
I wrote them all down.
2
once,
friends?
but
Buddy, I'm about to say, Buddy got a roster.
dude, he's got a fucking
friends?
roster.
Oh man. But he didn't even have the courage to play Accidentally in Love.
The courage.
Didn't have the courage to play the Shrek 2 soundtrack, and I thought that fucking sucked. I was very
Yeah.
upset about that.
I'm
just to
disappointed
be-
as someone who
just to
doesn't
be
even like
honest
that
with
movie.
you.
Disappointed.
Okay, let me read you the list. I found it. Okay, Adam Duritz fucked Christina Applegate, Courtney Cox, Jennifer Aniston, Winona Ryder, and Mary Louise Parker in the 90s.
Wow.
All of
Also has a
those
type.
women. Yeah, also has a type.
Right.
We have the same type in women.
That's wild though. Wow. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe that guy's
Wow.
just slanging hog.
He's just
to all
counting
getting
of
to
the-
it.
He's just counting
Dude.
crows over
He's
here.
just counting
Throwing hammers.
crows right over here. He also, when I went to see them in concert, you can tell that he really fucking hates playing Mr. Jones now. He fucking hates that song. And I'm like, yeah, bro, maybe replace it with Accidentally in Love from Shrek 2 and you're set and you won't be so goddamn miserable.
He's just singing it through gritted teeth.
Yeah. No, that's literally what he was doing. It was like, Mr. Jones and me was how he was singing it. Like he was like
Jeez.
reciting it kind of like it was like adult white
Spoken
man
word.
slam poetry. Yeah.
Man
Like,
slam.
white man
Love a
with
good man slam.
man slam with dreadlocks
Love a
poetry.
good man slam.
Welcome to the Man Slam. I'm Adam Duritz, and I used to man slam with Jennifer Aniston and Courtney Cox.
Thank you. Good night. All right.
All right. That seems like the note to end on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whitney, where
Is that
can
Harley
we
Quinn?
Yeah, that's Harley Quinn. Whitney,
That's
where
Harley
can we
Quinn in a
find
nutshell,
you?
baby. You can
What
find
do you
me
got to
at
plug?
Whitney Puppy everywhere on Twitter, on Instagram. Get
on
That's
Letterboxd.
Whitney Puppy. Get on Letterboxd, I should. And then on YouTube, I am at Whitney Vision and also Guardians of the Galaxy. So if you search for those two things, you will find me. You will be so satisfied that you did. You'll be all horned up. You'll love it.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the pod, Whitney.
Thank you for
you are,
having
I think,
me.
I think you
I
are
love
our
these
most
two shows.
I think you're our most returned guest. I think you have,
Am I a
think you've
frequent
done-
flyer? Do I get fucking frequent flyer miles for this shit? Give me those.
I think I think you're the only one who's been on not only twice but 3 times. Like I think
Yeah.
Wait, no, we had Deli like 4 times.
Oh
Ah,
right,
fuck.
Deli.
Yeah,
That's
for-
right. Deli
for
Deli did a whole
Whole
miniseries
movies.
with us. So
I
that
still
was,
think I should
and
get
which
a
is
punch
4.
card.
But
And
you
once
are like
I-
you've definitely covered the most variety because
Mhm.
because Deli was just
Ooh.
like along for the ride for home movies,
For home
and then
movies.
you did Rick and Morty, you did Archer, and now you are our first. You are our first friend guest, like our first previous guest on the podcast to come on and do the new format. So
Friend of the show.
yeah,
I'm
friend
so
of the
honored.
show.
I love you guys. I think you're great. I always have fun with you.
Hell yeah, we love you too. This
Word.
is a good ep. I guess I'll just close it out. Tariq, you got any plugs? I guess this doesn't come out for a couple months. So like, do you want to guess what your video is that just came out?
Roll the dice, baby.
Maybe it might be like cow and chicken.
Oh,
You never know. Go
You
check.
never know.
Go check.
You'll see.
Maybe.
Squirrel Boy. Maybe. I don't know.
Find out. It'll
Hell
be
yeah.
a surprise. Maybe it's there. Maybe it's not.
I'm
knows?
guessing right now there's a lot of South Park stuff on my channel because I'm anticipating that these will release in around the end of the new season of South Park. So you'll probably see a fuck ton of that over on my channel.
Word.
And with that, we want to thank Carrie Feek for our artwork. We want to thank Jake Neutron for our theme song. We want to thank Michael Yunez for producing and editing the podcast. And he also co-hosts our After Dark episodes for the patrons, which, by the way, if you want to check that out, we got like almost 40 bonus episodes up on there. If you want to just sign up, $5 a month gets you 40 episodes. Ever heard of it? That didn't fit. That didn't fit at all.
Nah, man, just keep going. It sounds good. I like that, though.
I also want to thank Toonrific Tariq for co-hosting every week with me, or whenever we feel like podcasting. I want to thank Whitney for joining us today. I'll thank myself for
Thank you, Johnny.
working. You're welcome.
Yeah, showing up to work.
And we got to thank our patrons, all the cursed ones. Thank you and everyone who watches at home. Thank you so much for allowing us to continue to do this. We love you. We appreciate you. But also, in addition to that, you very much.
Yeah, gotta back up like you're young.